For years, Toto Wolff repeated the same sentence. No discussion about Max Verstappen. I'm very happy with my drivers. Then, in the space of a few words, he changed everything. And that single sentence may have just signed George Russell's death warrant. Stop for a moment, because what's happening behind the scenes at Mercedes is much bigger than simple market gossip. The champion team's boss has finally opened a crack, a door that for years he had sworn to keep locked. He admitted in front of the microphones that he has no fear of putting Verstappen and young Antonelli on the same team. It sounds like an innocent sentence, it isn't. Because in one of those cars there are only 2 seats. And if Verstappen comes in, someone has to leave. Guess who? Before continuing, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel and write in the comments a single word, in or out, because what I'm about to tell you completely changes the map of Formula One's future. Let's go in order, because to understand the bombshell, you need to understand the context. Mercedes this season has been reborn. After difficult years, the Brackley team nailed the new regulations perfectly and now dominates. And the symbol of this rebirth isn't the veteran's George Russell. It's a 19-year-old boy, Kimi Antonelli, who leads the World Championship, leaving everyone stunned. Wins in a row, veteran-like composure. And in the midst of this triumph, one man is starting to seem surplus to requirements. That man is Russell, because the numbers are ruthless. Antonelli is flying at the top. Russell is trailing dozens of points behind his own teammate, a veteran who was supposed to lead the team and who now chases a teenager. With every race that passes, his position becomes more fragile. And in Formula One, when you look like the weak link, the vultures start circling. And it's exactly at this delicate moment that Wolff's statement arrives. We're not afraid of having Max and Kimi together on the team at some point. Read it again, slowly. The Mercedes boss didn't say he wants Russell forever. He said he's not afraid to replace him with the greatest of them all. And the difference, believe me, is enormous. And pay attention to that word, afraid. Because Wolff knows a thing or two about conflicts between drivers. He lived through the most poisonous war in recent history, the one between Hamilton and Rosberg, 2 teammates who hated each other to the point of risking destroying the team from within. Wolff swore he would never allow such a thing to happen again. He said clearly that if such a rivalry were to reignite, he would not hesitate to set one of the 2 drivers aside. That's why that sentence about Verstappen is so frightening, because it comes from a man who has already shown he's ready to sacrifice anyone to protect the team. But why now? Why does this opening come exactly in these weeks? And here the story fits perfectly with the drama unfolding on the other side of the paddock. Because Verstappen right now is closer to the exit door than he's ever been. Stop, because this detail is the key to everything. In Verstappen's contract with Red Bull, there's a clause, an escape route, and that clause right now is active. The reason is simple. At the summer break, Max isn't among the top 2 in the standings. In fact, he's much further behind. And this officially opens the door for him to leave. He has until October to decide. And according to several experts, the relationship between Verstappen and Red Bull has by now cracked. Something inside that team has broken. And the reason for this break is simple. Verstappen is a winner, and this Red Bull no longer allows him to win. The car is betraying him. The new regulations have frustrated him to the point of talking several times about a possible retirement. And the team that once dominated is now chasing. A champion hungry for victories, locked in a cage that no longer turns. And on the other side, what does he see? He sees Mercedes dominating. He sees an engine that works. He sees a winning project. For a man like him, the temptation is almost unbearable. And Wolff knows it. He knows it perfectly. That's why he chose exactly this moment to leave that door ajar. And now, connect the dots. On one side, a frustrated champion with the door open and confidence in his team at an all-time low. On the other, Wolff, who right now stops saying no and starts saying maybe. Does that seem like a coincidence to you? Not to me. To me, it looks like a move calculated to the millimeter. Because if Mercedes really wants the 4-time world champion, it must first free up a seat. And that seat, as it happens, is exactly Russell's. If you too feel that the ground under Russell's feet is crumbling, leave a like right now and share it. Because the part I'm about to tell you shows just how fragile his position really is, much more than the team wants to admit. Let's take a step back into recent history, because it helps to understand everything. George Russell waited years to become Mercedes' spearhead. He waited for Hamilton to leave. He fought to claim that role. And just when he thought he had claimed the throne, the team brought in a prodigy kid who, in no time at all, overtook him. That must be a huge wound for a driver of his caliber. And now, as if that weren't enough, Verstappen's giant shadow arrives too, making his seat shake. And this season, for him, has been a slow torture. An engine failure that cost him an almost certain win. A penalty that wiped out heavy points. A collision that ruined an entire weekend. And race after race, the same scene. Russell getting out of the car and trying to explain why he's slower. One day, it's the track that doesn't suit his style. Another day, it's the car too slow on the straights. Yet another, it's the rules that are hard to digest. Technical excuses, maybe true, maybe not. But, in the eyes of the public, and more dangerously, in the eyes of the team, the message that comes across is always the same. The kid wins, the veteran makes excuses. Sure, someone will say Russell has a contract, that his seat is guaranteed. That Wolff has repeated several times that he's happy with the current pairing. And that's true, on paper. But Formula One has taught us a brutal lesson. Contracts are worth something as long as you're useful. The moment you become the weak link, that piece of paper weighs less than a feather. And if the chance to sign Verstappen really presents itself, who in the world would say no to the best driver of his generation? No one. Not even Wolff. And Russell knows this perfectly well. And here comes the venomous question, the one nobody wants to ask out loud. Are Wolff's words just a tactic to keep Russell on his toes and push him to perform better? Or are they the first real sign of a decision already made in his mind? Because a team boss doesn't name Verstappen by chance, right at the moment when the champion is free to leave. I'm not selling you certainties. I don't have proof to tell you what will happen. But when the clues line up like this, ceasing to call them coincidences becomes almost an obligation. And think also about what this move would mean for the rest of the grid. A Mercedes with Verstappen and Antonelli would be a terrifying war machine. The most winning champion of his era paired with the phenomenon of the future. A nightmare for every rival. Red Bull would lose its star. And the driver market would explode like never before, because a single signing like that would knock down all the domino pieces, one after another. And all this, remember, happens at the worst possible moment for Russell, because the season is about to restart. In just a few days, we're back on track at Zandvoort, in the Netherlands, for Verstappen's home race. Actually, his last home race, because that historic circuit is about to disappear from the calendar. Imagine the scenario. A Verstappen with the door open, 80,000 fans, and in the background, a Wolff who for the first time openly names him. If there's a powder keg in today's Formula One, the name of that powder keg is exactly this. Now though, the floor is yours, and I really want to know. Do you think Wolff is just playing with Russell's mind? Or is he quietly preparing the move of the century? And if Verstappen really did arrive at Mercedes, would Russell stay on as an uncomfortable teammate? Or would he be swept away without mercy? Write it in the comments. I want to read your unfiltered prediction. And before we say goodbye, one last thought. If you think the countdown has truly begun for Russell, hit the bell and stay with us, because we'll tell you every single move of this soap opera until the end. There's only one truth. For years, Wolff protected his drivers like a father. Today, for the first time, he's let it be understood that no one is untouchable. Not even someone who waited an entire lifetime for his moment. And the question that remains hanging in the air is as simple as it is cruel. When your boss starts dreaming of someone else in your place, are you still a starter? Or are you just a seat waiting to be freed? Think about it, and then tell me.